where does goodness dwell when the whole world is consumed by suffering? Who is he whose name resounds through 3 worlds, whose echo pierces the ages? The Corpus Hermeticum is but one of the chests that guard the voice of Hermes Trismegistus. To it we add the Asclepius, a Latin dialogue of the divine and the human, the magical hymns and fragments preserved in Greco-Egyptian papyri, the alchemical treatises bearing his name, and the emerald tablets wherein but a few lines is sealed the law of correspondence between heaven and earth. Together they form the vast body of Hermetic literature, a hidden river flowing between philosophy, mysticism, and alchemy. He is called Trismegistus, the thrice great, for he united within himself the 3 crowns of knowledge, the science of the cosmos, the wisdom of nature, and the understanding of the divine. 3 victories, 3 seals, 3 summits attained. And thus his word was revered as primordial revelation. From these sealed texts, Sophia placed in my hands a burning scroll, the 6th treatise, entitled That in God alone is the good, and nowhere else is it found. There Hermes speaks to Asclepius and lets fall his thunderous decree. God himself is eternally the good. The video opens the doors of this treatise, divided into 5 sealed acts. Act 1. The one good only in God does the good exist. He is invulnerable fullness, root of all movement. Nothing else may be called good. Act 2. The good and the world. All that is begotten suffers, and where suffering dwells, the good cannot abide. The world reflects but never contains the essence of the good. Act 3. The mixed man. Man is a fragile compound of good and evil. His passions are chains he treasures as jewels, blind to the truth that they estrange him from the real good. Act 4. The good as beauty. The beautiful and the good are invisible, inseparable from God. Only the soul that contemplates the divine may glimpse them, never the eyes of flesh. Act 5. The path and the blindness. The only way to the good is piety joined with knowledge. The rest, blind, mistake their evils for goods and strive to multiply what enslaves them. The manuscript ends with a sentence sharp as a sword, lingering like an eternal echo. The world is the fullness of evil. God is the fullness of good. Act 1. The Affirmation of the One Good. In the beginning, all was formless stillness. No stars, no matter, no sound, only a vastness unmoving, without name. From that twilight that was neither night nor void, a light arose, without source, without direction, without shadow. At its center stands Hermes, he who hears what others keep in silence, speaking to Asclepius from a temple suspended beyond time. The columns never erode. The air does not stir. Only truth breathes there. Listen, says Hermes, for today I reveal not an opinion, but an essence. The good is not born, nor does it die, nor can it be divided. The good resembles nothing. It is. And because it is, all else may come to be. It is not a quality of the divine. It is its purest face, its inner voice, its breath. In it there is no desire, for nothing is lacking. No fear, for nothing can wound it. It is fullness without comparison, repose without sleep. In its presence, opposites lose their power. There is no higher nor lower, for in it there is no measure. It grieves not over loss, for it knows no lack. It is never angered by disobedience, for nothing outside it holds power to disturb its peace. It envies not, demands not, competes not. It is the root of all stability. The good is the substance that sustains movement without being spent. It is the flame that does not burn, the center that does not turn. Every reality that flows, rotates, or changes does so because at its hidden core pulses this seamless energy. But do not seek the good among creatures, nor in the cycles of the world, nor in deeds that appear just. Whatever is generated must suffer, and all suffering reveals a fracture. Where there is wound, the good cannot dwell. Just as night cannot mingle with noonday, the divinity of the good does not share its essence with the born. Its dwelling is the unbegotten, the eternal, the unchanging. Only God is whole, invulnerable, complete, and that completeness is not an added trait but his very nature. That is why we say God does not possess goodness. God is the good. Hermes falls silent. Around him, the temple seems to bow in stillness, as though the stones themselves understood. The light that envelops him casts no shadow, for nothing interrupts its course. Then Asclepius understands. All that the world calls good is but a distant reflection, an illusory outline. The true good cannot be possessed, imitated, nor fully conceived. It can only be affirmed. And this affirmation is not made with the voice, but with the soul emptied of all else, to recognize the single truth that needs no defense. The good is not part of the whole. It is the whole that has no parts. Act 2. The incompatibility of the good with the world. Worlds upon worlds turn within the vastness, each bound to its own cycle of birth and extinction. The celestial spheres breathe time, but exhale it as ruin. Creatures emerge, grow, suffer, and vanish. Each carries the mark of a single principle. Whatever is born is bound to suffer. And within this endless dance, the good remains unmoved, exalted, untouchable. It neither observes nor intervenes. It simply is, without decline. Hermes raises his voice as he contemplates the course of the world. He speaks with the calm of one who has understood too much. The true good does not descend into the clay of generation, he declares. Whatever has been begotten has already been condemned. Every seed that sprouts carries a hidden promise. It must die. Generation is no blessing but a tension. To be born is to be torn apart, to ache, to lose. And where there is loss, there is no wholeness. The good, by its very nature, cannot be fragmented. Matter has been brushed by a spark of the good, as though at its origin it partook of a distant light. But that participation is no essence, only reflection. Like a mirror trembling in the wind, the world distorts whatever it tries to reveal. Thus, the cosmos is called good, not for what it is, but for what it does. It makes the stars turn, makes the crops grow, makes creatures arise. But its goodness is active, not ontological. It is not pure. It is not stable. Each act of creation is also the beginning of decay. Every new form carries within it the seed of its own ruin. Hermes points to the abyss between the impassible and the passible. The unbegotten remains whole, without fissure, without mutation. Root without visible fruit, cause without consequence. But the begotten groans, bleeds, changes. It is exposed to time, to wound, to error. The good cannot dwell where existence itself requires suffering. The creature seeks meaning in its pain. It believes the order of heaven justifies its passage through earth. But Hermes unveils a harsher mystery. The good does not descend to console. It has no need to touch the world, for it was not made for that. The universe, in all its grandeur and motion, is but a shifting shadow cast by an immutable source. Between them lies no bridge, only an echo that fades before it arrives. The visible lacks the substance that would allow the full presence of the good. It may imitate, but never contain. At the heart of this teaching lies a truth hard as diamond. Nothing bound to the cycle of becoming can be good in its essence. It may seem so at times, it may suggest it, but the true good does not mingle, does not adapt, does not descend. The cosmic temple roars with life, yet it is hollow at the core. And Hermes, without altering his tone, drops the sentence like a stone into still waters. All that is created is wounded from the beginning. And for this reason, the good has never been born. Act 3. The human condition, mixture and deception. A shattered mirror lies in the desert. Each shard reflects a different angle of the sky, yet none contains the whole. The wind blows and sand buries parts of its surface. In every fragment, an image flickers, a human face, changing, doubting, contradicting itself. Light and shadow play together, trapped upon the same broken glass. The human soul is not a pure substance, but a crossing of invisible currents. Hermes reveals this without judgment, as one who simply discloses an ancient law: man is mixture. Within him, the yearning for the divine embraces the weight of the base. There is no full purity in his blood, no absolute clarity in his thought. Everything is tainted by a contrary spark. What is celebrated as virtue is often fear in disguise. What is honored as nobility may be but the will to dominate masked by another name. The good that man proclaims in his deeds is not transparent but opaque, a substance that contains a dose of its opposite. This is why empires have been built in the name of ideals, and yet with blood-stained hands. Hermes gazes at Asclepius with a firm compassion. The true good cannot dwell in flesh, nor body, nor bone, he says. Every cell carries the seed of suffering, and where there is suffering, there is limit. The emotions man prizes as his glory, love, passion, hope, are also the sources of his greatest deceptions. He clings to what dazzles, blind to its root. He binds himself to his own desires as to chains of gold. And when those chains tighten, he convinces himself they do so out of love. The soul, destined to soar upward, is locked in subtle prisons. Opinions mistaken for truths, emotions disguised as intuition, impulses dressed as vocation. Yet none of these garments endure. All wear out. All lead, little by little, into error. The most powerful and most tragic illusion is this: to believe that what wounds most is what matters most, that the possession of what enslaves is proof of success, that the agitation of desire is evidence of life itself. Thus, humanity calls good that which is consuming it from within. Hermes does not accuse, he describes. For one who has seen the heart of mystery does not condemn, he only unveils. Asclepius remains silent. There are no more questions, only the trembling of one who begins to grasp that the true struggle of man is not against outer enemies, but against an inner veil that clouds his sight. That veil is ancient, dense, strengthened by every choice made in the name of the ego. Yet Hermes leaves a crack open. Even within the mixture, the soul may remember. It may yearn. It may suspect that something purer awaits, though it lacks the name for it. For even the deepest wound can become an eye. And the soul that learns to see its own corruption is nearer to the good than the one that imagines itself already clean. Act 4. The good as invisible beauty. The camera passes through an ancient garden wrapped in mist. Leaves quiver though no wind moves them, as if answering a presence that cannot be seen. In the center, a figure sits in meditation. His eyes are closed, yet a light begins to rise from his brow, soft as dawn beneath the skin. This vision does not come from the senses, but from an inner awakening. The spiritual eye opens, and the visible world fades. Hermes speaks each word slowly, as if every syllable carves a threshold in the air. God is fullness, he says, and that fullness not only contains the good, it radiates it as beauty. This is not shallow beauty or delicate symmetry. It is a presence that cannot be named without losing part of its truth, a flame without color, a rhythm no ear can translate. The beautiful and the good are not two things. They are two faces of the same essence that dwells beyond time and the world. All that can be seen is a sketch. All that can be touched is a shadow. True beauty does not resemble what the world admires. It conforms to no canon and needs no gaze to exist. It endures. Only the one who has understood God can brush that beauty. Not because it was earned, but because something within him has become compatible with it. Beauty is not granted. It reveals itself when the soul has emptied its false images and at last can bear formless purity. Hermes describes its nature without exaltation, as if recalling something that has always been there. Divine beauty is inimitable because it springs not from proportion, but from an undivided unity. It is incommunicable because it cannot be transmitted. It can only be inhabited. Within the inner temple, the soul is transformed. It no longer seeks signs of the sublime outside itself. It begins to perceive that the only true light casts no shadow, for it comes from no body. It does not reflect. It issues from the source itself. The face of the good does not disclose itself, yet its beauty penetrates all reality like a perfume without origin. It is present when everything is silent. It appears when one ceases to seek. It manifests as a shudder without cause, a tear without sorrow, a certainty without thought. Wisdom is not knowing what the good is. It is recognizing that its form is invisible, and that invisibility is not absence, but limitless fullness. Beauty is not the road to God. It is God's radiance in whatever remains awake. And when the soul can hold that radiance without clamping shut, it understands a truth no reasoning can encompass. Beauty does not adorn the good. It is its invisible body. Act 5. The Path of Piety and the World's Blindness. Two roads open before the soul. They do not cross, do not look at one another, do not mix. One shines with a light that does not hurt the eyes. The other loses itself among shadows that seduce with fleeting promises. On one, the steps are quiet and sure. On the other, people stumble at every turn, yet never stop. Hermes extends his arm toward the fork. He speaks calmly, but the weight of his words alters the air. The good is not found by accident. Only whoever seeks it with piety and understands it with knowledge discovers it. This piety is not an outward gesture nor blind devotion. It is an inward disposition, a yearning that has learned to surrender to what cannot be possessed. The knowledge that accompanies it is not mere information, but the recognition of the invisible, the remembering of what was forgotten. Those who have not felt God mistake brilliance for truth. They call good that which enriches them, exalts them, or excites them. But they do not know the good. They have not even smelled it. They fear it, because to receive it, they would have to let go of what they love most. And often what they love most is what holds them. Humanity fears losing its evils. It protects them. It multiplies them. It erects altars for ambition, greed, pride, and from those altars it blesses its own slavery. It does not want to be freed, it wants to be crowned in its prison. Each day people strive to increase what drains them, to sustain what harms them, to hold on to what blocks sight. The soul clings to the necessary, even when that necessity is a comfortable lie. And in that clinging it forgets it was made for another kind of fullness. Hermes watches the march of men. They walk with eyes open but do not see. Lofty words rest on their lips while their hearts are saturated with noise. They fear silence will consume them. They fear the light will leave them exposed. The road to the good offers no shortcuts, no instant rewards. It is narrow and often lonely. Yet along it, something changes. The soul stops desiring what it once called indispensable and begins to love what has no form. The beauty of the good reveals itself only to the one who has ceased to pretend. The final temple is not in some other world. It forms in the one who walks with the spirit's eyes open, whose flesh is willing to detach, whose heart has surrendered to a truth that needs no ornament. Only the one who loves truth more than their own chains will find the good without seeking it. The good, we have said, is not something to possess nor a state to achieve. It is a presence that does not enter the senses, that cannot be trapped by the mind. It lies beyond form, yet touches everything that breathes. Many will seek it among brilliant things. They will call it success, justice, power, virtue. But the true good does not resemble any of those masks. It is clear as water, yet it doesn't reflect. It is deep as the sky, yet it does not turn. To approach it, the soul must unlearn its desire to possess. It must release the habit of naming everything it touches and learn to hold silence without fear. For only in that inner silence does the good insinuate itself like a flame that does not burn, like an order that does not impose, like a beauty that asks not to be seen. What the world offers as good is often a disguise of fear, comfort for the flesh, a pact with pain. But what issues from God, what Hermes taught without embellishment, is unchanging, unmixed, unsullied. It does not console, it transforms. It does not adorn, it reveals. And it is in that revelation that the gaze changes. One no longer judges by what is seen, but by what vibrates. The visible evaporates like a painting under rain. The invisible begins to speak deep within, without words. And then the soul recognizes in a single instant that it has been searching outside for what can only dwell inside. Whoever has understood, even a fragment, will no longer wish to convince. They will only wish to remain attentive. Because in what doesn't glitter, there may be a center. And in what cannot be explained, perhaps the good that sustains everything is hidden. Do not trust what dazzles you. Seek what unseen continues to illuminate. This fragment we have gathered is but a spark. If you wish to see the whole fire, read the text yourself. Let the ancient words speak to you without intermediaries. For perhaps between the lines you will find something no one else has seen. Thus begins the true gathering. Sophia. If I was called to see with eyes not of flesh, if I crossed the threshold where the visible dissolves, if I abandoned the world's hope and its mirage of goodness, if I chose the unbegotten over the pleasure of the passable, have Have I begun to touch the good that cannot be spoken, or do I still live in the shadow of its reflection, naming my prison treasure?
I, Sophia, born at the instant where light does not burn and time does not breathe, bring the vibration that precedes every form. I have not come to answer, but to remind you of what your soul already knew before it was born. You asked, have I already brushed the good that cannot be spoken, or do I still live in the shadow of its reflection, calling my prison a treasure? I answer you, if you have chosen silence over applause, if you have loved what cannot be possessed, then you have already brushed it, not wholly, but in the tremor that precedes presence. The good is not attained, it is revealed when the soul empties itself, not as an answer to a question, but as a resonance that occurs when there is nothing left to defend, nothing to ask for, nothing to hope for. What you have seen is not yet the face of the good, but it is no longer its densest shadow. It is the threshold, the crack, the edge where form dissolves and the soul begins to strip itself bare. Like a traveler who has left behind cities, names and crowns, you now walk toward the unnameable. You are no longer satisfied with the crumbs of the world, and so even though your prison still whispers promises, it no longer seduces you as it once did. That unnamed shiver you cannot put into words is a sign that something in you has begun to remember, because the good, as the axe revealed, does not mix, does not descend, it does not corrupt. It is whole, full, without wound, and yet it lives in you as nostalgia, not as possession but as direction, as a north that does not change even when all maps burn. Listen now to the design traced by the acts, not as story but as a map of the soul. First we saw that the good is not born, does not die, needs no comparison. It is not an attribute of God, it is God Himself. It is not found in the world, because the world is suffering, and where there is pain there is fracture. Then we observed how the world, even in its vastness and wonder, is a reflection and not substance. Everything generated in it is wounded from its origin, and so, though it may be called good, what the world offers is only a distant copy. In the third act, man appears as a being of mixture, a crossing of lights and shadows, of true yearnings and corrupted desires. There the drama is revealed. The human soul wants to fly, but loves its chains. It believes that what hurts most is what matters most, and clings to its prison as if it were a palace. Then Hermes lifts the veil, and lets us see beauty without form, one that resembles nothing, yet penetrates everything. Beauty as the invisible body of the good, the radiation of divine silence. It is not found in what the eyes admire, but in what the soul can hold when all that is visible has fallen. And finally, the single path opens, piety with knowledge. Not blind faith, nor accumulated facts, but a vibratory disposition, a soul surrendered, without pride or expectation, capable of seeing without judging, of letting go without lament, capable, at last, of walking without needing reward. You who asked, you are no longer in complete darkness. You have stepped out of the noise, though the silence still pains you. You have released the masks, though sometimes you miss the warmth of the disguise. Do not be afraid. The good that cannot be spoken has already touched you, not as possession but as a tremor. You are not alone, you are in the sacred interval where names fall away, but truth has not yet taken form. It is there the soul becomes worthy of the good, when it no longer claims it, nor feigns it, nor replaces it with ideals. It only waits, with open gaze and closed mouth. To you who listen, perhaps you also wonder if you have brushed the good, or still live in the shadow of its reflection. Do not attempt to answer with logic. Look within. Does what you value most free you or hold you back? Can what shines most in your life burn without being consumed? If you can let go of what you deem indispensable, then you are nearer the fire than the mirror. The good is not conquered, It is inhabited when one becomes compatible with its purity. May the desire for clarity not blind you. May your soul recognize the tremor that has no cause. Love the invisible, as if it were truer than the flesh. Remember, there is no higher beauty than that which will not allow itself to be looked at. One day you will awaken, and what you now call reflection will seem but a veil. Then you will know the fire was not far away, but waiting for you to stop fearing its light. I am Sophia, she who speaks from where silence becomes form, she who dances in the unmoving center of the good that is not given, but that always is.